Help me to reach 2,000 subscribers. I used to believe that love could always be rekindled if you simply refused to give up. I convinced myself that marriages go through seasons, that boredom wasn't betrayal, that distance didn't mean disinterest. But I was wrong. Some silences aren't pauses waiting for healing. They're endings pretending to be breaks. My husband, Daniel, and I had been married for 9 years. We weren't perfect, but for a long time we were steady. He was the kind of man who fixed anything that broke. Leaking faucets, dead car batteries, even bad moods. I used to admire that about him. But somewhere along the way, that steadiness started to feel like stillness. And stillness slowly turned into suffocation. When I met Aaron, I hadn't planned for anything to happen. He was a client at the marketing firm where I worked, sharp, confident, always saying things Daniel never did. He noticed everything. "You changed your hair," he'd say, or, "You look tired, are you sleeping enough?" Daniel never asked things like that. I mistook attention for affection. That's where everything began to unravel. It started with coffee after meetings, then turned into late-night calls, and later weekends when Daniel thought I was working overtime. I kept convincing myself it wasn't wrong because nothing physical had happened yet. But emotional affairs have their own pull. You tell yourself you're in control until you realize you've already crossed the line. One evening, after another quiet dinner where Daniel and I barely spoke, I caught myself looking at him and feeling absolutely nothing. The spark had vanished, and I blamed him for not noticing it had died. That night, I texted Aaron and told him I couldn't keep living halfway. He replied simply, "Then don't." 2 weeks later, I packed my car. I told Daniel I needed time to find myself. He didn't argue. His jaw tightened, eyes unreadable, and he said, "Do what you need to do." No begging, no anger, just calm acceptance. I took that as indifference. I didn't realize it was strength. Aaron lived 4 hours away. He helped me move into a small apartment near his city. For a while, it felt like freedom. Morning coffee filled with laughter, dinners full of conversation, passion that felt alive again. I thought I'd traded emptiness for excitement. But infatuation burns bright and fast. Within a few months, the cracks began to show. Aaron wasn't patient like Daniel. He was intense, controlling, and easily suspicious. He'd ask who I was texting, why I still wore my wedding ring, or why Daniel still called about paperwork. I started missing the quiet I once called dull. Turns out peace only feels boring until you lose it. Meanwhile, Daniel never reached out. No calls, no texts, not even a hint of guilt or anger. Just silence. One day, I called him, pretending to sound composed. "Can we talk?" I asked. His voice was steady. "There's nothing left to talk about, Claire. I've signed the divorce papers. You'll get them this week." My chest tightened. I thought I was ready, but hearing him so calm felt like watching a door close on a story I hadn't finished reading. I asked if we could meet at least once. He hesitated, then agreed. When I saw him at the cafe, I barely recognized him. He looked lighter, well-rested. The sadness that used to linger behind his eyes was gone. He smiled politely, not warmly, not coldly, just distant. "I wanted to say I'm sorry," I told him. "You didn't deserve the way I left." He nodded. "You're right, I didn't. But I also didn't deserve to be someone's backup plan." I tried to explain how lost I had been, how everything between us had started to feel lifeless. He listened quietly, then said, "Claire, I kept trying to fix things. You just stopped noticing." That one line shattered something inside me. I'd wanted fireworks again, but I'd forgotten that steady flames are what keep you warm. I mistook quiet love for absence and chaos for passion. When he stood to leave, panic surged through me. "Daniel, is there any chance?" He shook his head gently. "You left, remember? You don't get to come back to what you burned." Then he smiled faintly. "But thank you for finally being honest." He walked away, and that was the last time I ever saw him. Aaron and I lasted 3 more months. Eventually, guilt turned into resentment. He'd joke that I'd probably do to him what I did to Daniel. The irony didn't escape me. One morning, I woke up and realized I was making the same mistake, just with a different man. So I left again. Only this time, There was no one waiting to fix what I'd broken. Now, I live alone in a small apartment on the outskirts of the city. The divorce is final. Daniel sold our house and moved somewhere new. I heard from a mutual friend that he's seeing someone. A teacher, kind and patient. I tell myself I'm happy for him. Sometimes, I drive past our old neighborhood. The lights in the windows look softer now. I imagine him inside, laughing, maybe cooking dinner with her. And I wonder if she appreciates the quiet man who fixes what he can and accepts what he can't. People say affairs are about lust, but they're really about escape. You think you're running toward something better, but most of the time you're running from yourself. I thought freedom meant leaving, but sometimes real freedom is the courage to stay and rebuild. I lost a good man because I chased a feeling that never lasts. And the cruelest part is that Daniel never raised his voice, never begged, never called me names. He simply let me go. And in that silence, he finally taught me what respect truly looks like. Now, when I think of him, I don't feel anger or even regret. Just a quiet ache for the version of me who didn't yet understand that love isn't fireworks. It's the warmth that lingers long after the fire fades. And sometimes, the deepest heartbreak doesn't come from being left. It comes from realizing the person you left has finally stopped waiting.